You've probably ventured out to learn a language before, whether it was through a required Spanish class in high school, or you started watching anime and thought, wow, it would be really cool to learn some Japanese. Because if you're like most people, you don't speak any of those languages fluently, because learning a language is hard. And that's for many reasons. For example, you don't know where to start, you can't find the right resources, and then you start losing interest because things like grammar are just so hard. But one of the most important reasons that people seem to fail, despite all their efforts, is actually something that's under your control. Something that absolutely anybody could do. It's be consistent. In the rest of this video, I'll explain why consistency is so important, a few examples to help you integrate language learning into your daily routine, and then a few hacks to maintain that consistency at the end of the video. Okay, so why is consistency so key? We actually have some science to back that up, and it's summarized in this chart called the curve of forgetting. This curve describes how much you remember of what you learned over the course of an entire month based on how much you practice. On day one, you go from absolutely no knowledge of something to learning 100% of whatever it is you studied that day. By the next day, if you didn't practice, that already goes down to 50%. A week later, 25%. And by the end of the month, you're lucky if you still remember 10% of the material. To put this in the context of language learning, let's say you're really excited and you learn 100 vocabulary words on your first day. By the end of the month, if you don't practice, you're lucky if you remember 10 of them. This happens because your brain isn't making use of that information, and so it treats it like garbage and just throws it away. And unfortunately, this just gets worse and worse over time. However, with proper practice, you can actually prevent forgetting. Let's talk about that. As shown in the squiggly line at the top of the chart, by day 2, with just 10 minutes of revision, you can remember up to 95% of the material. A week later, it'll start to dip down to around 80% or so, which is not too bad, but with just 5 minutes of practice, you can already bring that back up. Then towards the end of the month, when it's dipping down again, all you need is about 2 to 4 minutes of practice to bring that back up again. And so the good news is that consistency here means that over time, you can study less often and remember more. Study smarter, not harder. In the context of language learning, this doesn't have to be vocabulary flashcards, even though these algorithms for spaced repetition are based on these methods. As you learn more words, you can express and understand new thoughts and ideas that bring these words into new contexts that you've never experienced before. And ultimately, this strengthens your memory in a way that repetition just would never allow. So the great news is that you don't have to drill flashcards every single day. You can just use the language, but it has to be every day. Now, before I move on, I just want to make sure that if you like this video, you give it a thumbs up and maybe subscribe. You can also hit the bell icon to get notified of when my next upload is. We're about to get to the meat of how to apply the knowledge we just learned with the curve of forgetting. But before we get there, I want to let you guys know about a few resources that I have available for language learning. On my Etsy, I have a wide variety of printables available that can help you with over 13 different languages. This includes things like an alphabet practice sheet, which can help you get familiarization with a new writing system, or a verb conjugation sheet to help give structure to your grammar, as well as a fun verb conjugation game that I'll show you guys in a future video. Plus, a variety of language learning planners and other organizational tools to keep you consistent as we're talking about in this video. If that interests you, you can check that out in the link in the description below. Now, let's get back to the content. Now onto the secret sauce. I have 2 productivity hacks here that will help you in integrating these language learning techniques into your daily life. The first is called habit stacking. Now, this is a concept that's described in a wide variety of habit-related books, whether it's The Power of Habit, Atomic Habits, What Habits You? Pun. With this method, it's super simple. You just take a habit that you already have and you tack something on to the end of it. So for example, whenever you brush your teeth, you could listen to a song in your new language. Another example might be when you go to eat a meal by yourself. You can just watch a YouTube video or an episode of a show that you like in your target language and get in those extra minutes of language learning every day. This second hack is called the 2-day rule, and it's something that I first heard about from Matt D'Abella's channel. The idea here is super simple. Whatever you're trying to do, you can only take 1 day off at a time. In other words, when you're studying your language, at the bare minimum, you can only take off every other day. Now, this is great because if you're stressed out, you have too much to do on one particular day, or whatever else it is that makes you break your habit for that 1 day, you don't have to stress out about it. Because normally when you're trying to make a habit that's every single day, if you were to miss it, you might feel this crushing feeling of failure just because you missed 1 day. But in this case, you are intentionally allowing yourself to take that 1 day off as a strategic way to maintain your habit. Now, in Matt D'Abella's case, he did this with fitness, and at the beginning, there were a lot of weeks where he only worked out 3 days a week, but he still did it because he only took 1 day off at a time. And now if you look at him, he's like really buff. But the point is that it's better to end up doing it only 3 days a week than it is to fall off the wagon for weeks or months at a time because you weren't being consistent enough. And that's all you need to be consistent. For now, I'll have more on some of the biggest barriers to language learning in some of my future videos. So stick with me and I'll see you next week.
Like, he's not known for being buff. He's known for being a productivity YouTuber.
He's known for being a buff, minimalist productivity YouTuber that wears the same shirt every day.
He says that, but
just look at his guns, dude. As shown in the squiggly line.